Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Ahmad, Sawyer, and Caleb. How are you guys doing today?
Howdy, howdy. I was excited,
Pretty
just
good.
ready to go.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Craziness. School just started for three of us, so
Yup.
uh, you know, please be sympathetic to those who have pretty wild schedules and kind of a horrible situation in front of them as they kind of continue into the school year. I wanted to open the show by sending out my condolences, and I'm sure the condolences of the show to the family of one Chadwick Boseman. If you didn't know, he passed away on I don't remember what day it was, but it was like Friday of last week, and
Yeah.
that was tragic.
Yeah, devastating. Rest in peace, King.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
He was. I hadn't seen a ton of his work, but everything I saw him in, he was great.
Yeah.
He seemed like a genuinely great guy. So
August, so about
Yeah.
2 weeks ago at this point.
August 28th.
Yeah, really sad. He was a really cool person. He was dealing with cancer while he was like going to St. Jude's and stuff, which is
Yeah, he
really
was- yeah.
cool.
It's insane because he was training for Black Panther. He was doing a lot of physical stuff and
Yeah,
during that time and even before and after, of course. Yeah, it's really sad. My condolences to his family and friends and everything.
yeah.
Rest in peace.
And I want to clarify something on here. If there's anybody who's pulling this like toxic Marvel DC crap during this, it's wrong.
Yeah.
That is wrong.
This is
Don't
not
do
the
that.
time to be petty about what studio you prefer.
Mhm.
He was a real person. He's not just a Black Panther.
Yes. Yep. He's
I've
more
been
than
seeing
that.
some stuff online, and it's
Yeah.
making me sick. Some of the people who are just making fun of him just because he was on Marvel, and that's
Yeah,
wrong.
That
I mean,
is don't do that.
That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I know we just mentioned Black Panther. That's one of his great roles. His filmography is rich, beautiful. Played Jackie
Probably the
Robinson.
one he'll be most remembered for.
Yes, yeah, that will be the one he's. I mean, and that's not a bad thing. So like, I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing, but he has a rich filmography, and all of his performances were equally as good, and it culminated to this really iconic, beautiful performance, which is the performance he played Black Panther with. So that was it's a shame seeing
Yeah.
him go, but
It is a shame. I agree there. In maybe more lighthearted news, to transition a little bit, we've been complaining a lot on this show about, we don't know what Xbox and and PlayStation are doing this year. We had no idea. I was constantly complaining, like, guys, you're 2 months out from your
Yup.
launch dates. 7 years ago in 2013, we knew by like June what the prices were for both of these things.
Mhm.
And
Right.
and then we had a pretty rapid turnaround from Xbox. If you remember, they had just a tragic E3 showing where Xbox came out on stage and was like, here's all this really cool stuff that we're excited about, with like what's it called? I forget what it was called. The
DRM.
Yeah, there was the DRM, and there was like the Move stuff. I don't remember
Kinect.
what that. Yeah, the Kinect. Thank you.
Oh,
There was the Kinect. Like they were pushing Kinect super hard in that E3 press conference, and then PlayStation comes out like the night after and just hammers them on price, on being able to trade your games
mhm.
or share your games, and just like everything one after another. and then and there's like this hullabaloo with like, well, there's been some stuff that's really negatively uh, received, and like officials, Xbox executives getting really mad at interviewers who are asking if they're going to change anything. And he's like, do you know how hard it is to develop this stuff? And then a week later, they turn around the entire messaging. And and so like this was like a really rapid console reveal cycle back in 2013. This year has been a very slow burn. We knew, for one thing, it started a little earlier because like reveals started around E3 last year with the Project Scarlet stuff. So, we've been waiting for a long time, and then yesterday, I think, no, today. This was today.
Well,
Oh wait, no.
yeah, technically, Monday the price for the Series S got leaked, so they went out and made it official on Tuesday of the Series S price, and then
Yeah.
they went out today and was like, "Here's the Series X while we're at it."
Yeah.
So it from what it showed me, at least, it's funny that you bring up that point of like how Xbox showed their hand and PlayStation answered back immediately
Yeah.
last time. And we've talked about it on before. It's like who's gonna reveal it first.
It's the triangle of people pointing guns at each other, like who's gonna shoot first, right?
And
Um,
from just thinking about that really just like, at least in my mind, it tells me Xbox was definitely their hand was forced. Like
yeah.
they definitely, to me, it doesn't seem like they wanted to release it at this time. Like they definitely were going to
Yeah.
stick to their guns and try to wait on PlayStation, but PlayStation was like, haha.
Yeah. Well,
Not
I feel
gonna
like
happen.
PlayStation has had nothing but good, like really spectacular press,
Hmm.
and like there's been some complaining from the top news critics of like, well, there's this and that, and like, why is PlayStation not doing anything? Like, what's going on was basically the feeling from the 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 sort of higher ups at the bigger news sources. But for the most part, PlayStation had nothing but good press, and people were like, it's good to have your audience want more. Is kind of the thing. Xbox had a really, unfortunate showing of Halo at
Hmm.
their thing, and then Halo got delayed,
Yep.
which is not good. And then and so like I think you're exactly right that they were like, we need some good press, and of course they didn't. The Series S. So we should probably detail what's happening here. So they announced the Xbox Series S on November, or not November, on September 8th or something like that, and it was leaked. So this I think was what forced their hand quite a bit, actually, was that the Series S, which is the smaller, more affordable console, the budget version of the Series S was leaked onto the internet, and with like a video and everything. Like, this was just dead to rights, this is real. um and so Xbox was like, well, yeah, this is official. And then I guess today they just sort of laid to bear everything you could possibly want to know about the two releases. So everything in terms of Xbox, is releasing on November 10th.
Yep.
So we can expect PS5 to release in the same week.
Which is already kind of a crazy week, because if you look
Yeah.
at Nintendo,
Yeah.
I guess we are going to just briefly touch on it. Nintendo's having Hyrule Warriors, which is a Zelda prequel, come out on the 20th.
Yeah.
You technically
So like,
got, yeah, it's interesting.
there
I
are a
don't know
bunch
when
of like game
Mario is,
releases
but-
happening that week. Mario is like in a week now.
Okay.
Like Mario is releasing like next week.
Okay.
But to your point, there are a lot of game releases happening that week.
Mhm.
Which I think is a good move by the third
Right.
parties. Like if they, I'm sure, actually all of these release dates I'm sure have been third parties getting confirmations on the consoles releasing
Right.
during that time frame, because I don't think like Melody of Memory would have gotten its announcement had they not had a framework for when the consoles were releasing.
Maybe that's why we got all those shadow drops
Yeah.
last week. Maybe they got the memo and they're like, all right, time to pull the
Yeah.
pull the trigger. You know,
I
maybe.
mean, I'm sure Nintendo didn't feel any of that, but there was a
Right.
lot happening last week with like Call of Duty and what have you. Call of Duty just had its multiplayer reveal today. So yeah, November 10th for the Xbox Series S and the Series X. If you are interested in a cheaper console, the S is $200 less expensive than the Series X, coming in at about $300 without tax. That's important.
Mhm.
And then the Series X is at 500, which is actually all like less than I was maybe expecting, because
Right.
I feel like 400 tends to be the sweet spot where it's like, yeah, that's a little expensive, but given what I'm getting and the fact that it's just a whole new thing, like it seems reasonable. And
No.
this, go ahead, Amon.
Oh, you were gonna mention specs, right?
Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
to eventually. I was just gonna.
Yeah, no, and like you could go
Yeah.
in more detail about this, but from what I understand, they seem to both operate at the same kind of
Yeah.
playability, like the same kind of. Because I mean, the Xbox Series S plays at 120 frames per second. Frames per second.
Yeah.
I think the biggest difference that I heard was the resolution. It's not 4K, which I personally speaking, knowing about the difference between 4K and like 1080 and other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a big TV to begin with. So I feel like if I don't have like a big TV and I'm not like a couple inches away from the screen, that won't be
Yeah.
too bad.
Well,
for me, I'm more
So-
concerned with how smooth the gameplay is.
I thought correct me if I'm wrong. I thought the specs were the Series S had 4K and the Series X had 8K.
I think that.
Yeah, you're right.
might-
You're right. Yeah. There are like a few games that'll run in 4K on the Series S, but
Okay.
the Series X will be able to run stuff at 8K. That's like everything will be able to run at 4K on the Series X, and then some stuff will hit 8K, and then
I see.
I think that's although the messaging on this has been very confusing.
Yeah.
Some of the specs, a lot of these are
Yeah.
a lot of these are outside of my wheelhouse, so I'm not going to go into them. But just to name a few, so 16 gigs of RAM. Wait, I'm not exactly sure this messaging is confusing too. So I guess there's a Series X that has 16 gigs, 10 gigs, and then one that has 6 gigs. I don't know what that means.
Okay,
And
that's
then one
random.
I wonder if that's just like different RAM cards or something like that.
Mhm.
And then the Series S has one with 10 gigs, one with 8 gigs, and one with 2 gigs. So it's a little slower. The storage, I think, is the big one here. So the Series X in the box, will come with a terabyte SSD, and the Series
Okay.
X will come with a half terabyte SSD. And
The Series
And if
X
you-
has less storage.
no, the
No,
Series S.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Whoa.
This
Yeah.
kind of, I've talked about
Yeah.
this before, but this is what kind of gets on my nerves. It's just the way Xbox has
Yeah.
titled their consoles. Like X and S are so similar in like
Yeah.
sound, like pronunciation, and then the way it's called Xbox Series X.
It's true.
It's just it's hard to um I can't imagine what that I think of like maybe parents, trying to get these consoles of like I can't imagine how difficult it is to get the right
Yeah.
console, because honestly on the radio the other day they're doing like a giveaway right now for the Xbox Series X and the
Oh,
PS5
yeah.
over where I live, and they they
Yeah.
mispronounced the uh the Xbox and just went Xbox X. I think that's what it was. I think
That's
that's
just
what.
not useful.
Yeah.
Xbox 10.
Yeah.
Because there's already an Xbox One X.
Right.
Yes. And that's the problem. There's gonna be so many like grandparents around Christmas who just end up getting the One X instead of Series X because the
Yeah.
messaging is so confusing.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. I
Um,
want to clarify something I said real quick. The Series X has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and then the other numbers were just like how the RAM is divvied up. And then the
Oh.
Series S has 10 gigabytes of RAM and then numbers that are also how the RAM is divvied up. I don't know how RAM works, so forget everything I said about that.
so
I
found
want to point out another thing that makes the storage hurt a little bit on the Series S's side is that the Series S is digital only.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're
right.
stuck with less than 500 gigabytes in a console era where AAA devs refuse to compress their games.
Yup.
So with World of War or with Call of Duty, you're talking about like maybe like one game and then a few indie games and then like maybe a couple of well compressed AAA games, but those don't exist.
So I found on Xbox's website, I found a full official breakdown of the differences between the two. Just skimming it over, like you said, the X has a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, while the S is digital only. They both have the same display out at HDMI 2.1. Both are backwards compatible, though interestingly enough, it's only backwards compatible, obviously, to digital versions of those said games on Xbox, because there's no disk drive to put in the discs for the Xbox 360 and original Xbox. Both have the same expandable storage of a 1 terabyte expansion card. The X has a 1 terabyte SSD, while the S has a 512 gig SSD. The X targets 4K at 60 FPS with up to 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
Where the S is 1440p at 60 FPS up to 120 frames per second. So
Yeah, that's what I-
2K. That's 2K.
Yeah.
If anybody, 1440 is basically just 2K.
yeah,
So
Um,
you can't play 4K one. Well, you can't play. You can't
you
play
can do
4K.
4K 120 on
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay, but you can't play 4K 60.
Yeah, you can play 4K it says at 60 up to 120 FPS, but I'm guessing that it's gonna probably be limited to certain games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure
also,
it'll just be
also, you know, to a lot of people, the difference between 60 and 100 FPS is unnoticeable.
Well, I
So,
think
like,
it actually. I want to disagree and say like 120. I think it is noticeable.
uh,
I would-
Not when
well,
you're in a
so,
boss
like,
fight. That's what I'll say.
when you're in a boss.
Well, when you're, I'll say this. I don't know. I think when you're talking to film students, that difference matters a lot.
Yeah.
But in games, that tends to be more of like people who are worried about how many frames there are after 60. It tends to be more of an input thing rather than an output thing. So like
Yeah.
it's not going to look any prettier at 120. It just might feel better to play.
Right.
The only
Um,
other big differences I saw on here, so they both have roughly the same GPU.
Yeah.
They're both custom AMD chips from what I can see, but
Yeah.
the GPU on the X is 1.825 gigahertz, 1.56 on the S, but the big differences are in GPU power. It's 12.15 teraflops on the X, whereas it's only 4 teraflops
Oh
Huh.
yeah, that's literally a
on the S.
quarter.
And
That
then
is a
RAM,
quarter.
16 gigs of
That's alright.
BDDR6 on X. Yeah, and then
that's
10 gigs of RAM on the S. So it's really the
Yeah.
big differences are storage, graphics, and RAM are the
Yeah,
big
that-
differences.
That 4 and 12 thing. That's insane. That's a third of.
So
That's-
like yeah, it'll be able to run basically everything. It just won't do it as fast as the Series X one.
It's basically
an Xbox
One X. Is really what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Just honestly, just
better graphics, I guess.
well.
Also, I want to point out
Great.
that I guess this year that I'm just on randomly on Xbox's website and they're selling Xbox Ones for $500. Xbox One X's
Yeah.
bundled with like a copy of the game and like a membership for Xbox Gold for 1 month for $500 when you have a new console releasing at the same price.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
so
I
funny.
don't understand this console generation like at all. Not
I-
from Xbox at least.
I have a feeling. I feel like once the console launches, I feel like the One X will reduce down to probably at most the Series S price. But
Yeah, no, I suspect the One X is gonna dip to $200 like immediately.
yeah, I would say it's between 200 and 300 at this
Yeah.
point.
Like this
250.
generation, this is just proving more and more to me that I don't understand the model Microsoft is going for. And this is coming
Yeah.
from somebody who like has followed the industry for years. This
Yeah.
is such a confusing mess. And like
Yeah.
the games they
That
have
have-
coming. Like go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they have some really good ideas.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
want to
like-
I want to be clear about that. Like I think the model of like trying to universalize your brand so that like you can sort of play anything on anything is a neat idea.
Yeah,
I
they just haven't justified the reason
Yeah.
why I need this system.
yeah.
Like,
And
the
like
games they have upcoming, they like Halo looks good, Avowed looks cool. I'm definitely gonna be into Fable, but they haven't really given me a reason as of right now. Like, if Halo's delayed, what possible reason, if all of these same launch games are also available on PS5, why wouldn't I just get Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed on my PS5 and then pick up Miles Morales? Why do I need to? Yeah.
especially not if it's crossplay.
Yeah.
And I think that is maybe something that Microsoft has not seemed to grasp, which is weird. I feel like they should have grasped this, is that uh you'll hear a lot of people say that, like, I love playing games, I love playing niche games, but my friends all have Xbox, so I'm gonna buy an Xbox. And maybe that means I miss out on that weird JRPG that came out on the PS3, but who cares? I'm playing Call of Duty with my friends on Xbox. And that's dead. Like that mentality dies with this generation. And so it seems to me that the problem for Xbox here is that, like, if you're not going to launch a console with an exclusive, which they're not because Halo got delayed, what's stopping somebody from just going ahead and, like you said, just buying a PS5 so they can get both Miles Morales and that weird niche thing? Like they get like the nice things without necessarily having to sacrifice playing with their friends. And that seems like um that seems like something that they haven't grasped, and something that is potentially going to hurt them come November 10th.
Yeah, like I was talking with you guys earlier in our group chat, and the thing for me that I saw here was, at least for the S, even though it's not as powerful, I can see what they're going for. It's the console that's going to be targeted for the people who either option A are people like myself who really, as of right now, are only interested in playing Halo, so it was really just a Halo machine. Or option B, it's for those more casual people who every fall they just want GTA 5, the new Call of Duty, the new Madden, and the new 2K, and those are the only 4 games they're playing. Why would, even though those 500 gigs is not a bunch of storage, and you wouldn't be able to compress all of those, especially I'm thinking Call of Duty. It's why would you spend all the money on the X if these people are just like, I just want to play Madden with my friends? That's why this exists. The X, on the other hand, I don't see the market, because if it's people who care about power that much, then they're just going to play these games on PC. And if they're a console person, then they might as well just go with PS5. And if they want Halo, then they'll just buy an S or they'll get it on PC. I don't see the market for the X. And I know Microsoft's trying to make it into a platform now, kind of like a Windows ecosystem, like where PC games, or kind of even making their hardware operate like Apple. But I think it's admirable of them trying to transition away from, okay, the idea of console generations is dead. We're just going with like updating hardware every two-ish years with some better graphics, but the games will play kind of like a Windows computer, for example. You'll buy a game and it'll say compatible on Xbox this generation and up, and it'll just say Xbox on top. I get that to an extent, but the thing they're forgetting is consoles are so ingrained in like what, like people have an ingrained idea of what a video game console is and does. Microsoft they're going to be hurting for at least the first couple of years, if I'm assuming, because they're transitioning their entire idea. PlayStation has the advantage of, well, the advantage and slight disadvantage of basically just saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and doing the same thing that they did with the PS4, the PS3, etc. And I hope that'll work. That, to me, is more comforting when I see a PS5 and see the price of $500. I know, okay, I'm dropping $500 for the next generation system, the brand new games at higher power. With Xbox, it's just confusing to me and makes me frustrated, and I don't know, like, at this point, I'm not even going to buy an Xbox until Halo Infinite's released, and then I'll deal with all this, because this is just for a day one purchase. It's a mess. And I really can't imagine how, especially during COVID, how they thought this launch was going to go. But I think they just handed it to Sony. I hate to say it, because Xbox
Yeah.
was confident out the gate, and I'll give them credit. They're making a lot more new exclusives, but every time they take one step forward, they end up taking 2 steps back.
Yep.
And I hope you do well, Microsoft, but you really just making it hard for me to like you, Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, and the thing for me, I think, and I think that was very well said, and I think that for me, this is a very like philosophical console launch in a way, where like last time around it was like, all right, we just want to like get our stuff out there, and you know, it's like this is the culmination of the console wars basically, and this time around it's like Sony is sort of or like Xbox is being very like progressive this time around. Like they're trying to make all their games playable on PC, and I don't know, like they're trying to they're having these like game subscription services that we've been asking for a billion years, and like all of this cool stuff. Sony is the opposite. They're like doubling down on like these are the old ways. This is how it's always worked. We're going to keep doing this, and it will lead us to victory. So I'm very curious to see how these console launches go. I'm maybe a little bit less apprehensive about Xbox because I think for one thing, I think Xbox is going to have a very kind of slow burn console generation. So like if we see lower numbers from them this holiday, I don't know if that means that their strategy is out the door entirely. But I do feel like in terms of this holiday, in terms of like in terms of the next generation of consoles, Sony has the messaging in the bag at this point. Like it's done. They don't need to worry about it. They're good.
My only concern for Sony will be is if they keep, and I think the messaging is working, they're essentially just doing the same thing as PS4, which that's kind of my other big critique of this console generation launch is there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference in terms of strategy or even games or hardware between the last generation and this generation.
Yeah.
I think it's Sony. I think what they're doing is smart. They're not reinventing the wheel with the launch of this system, but they need to future-proof it. They can't just go in and say, "Oh, well, for the next 6 or 7 years, however long it is, this is the way the whole console ecosystem is going to operate." I think this launch is the only time they can continue that. They need to push and kind of get into this cloud gaming like Microsoft is doing in their Play Anywhere idea. Microsoft also, owning Windows has a leg up on Sony in that realm.
Yeah.
But I think that what Sony needs to do is keep going with the messaging they're doing now, but they need to keep talking, because now that Xbox has just been putting all this information out there, and they're polar opposites. Microsoft's been saying so much, but the more they talk, the more I think the specialness of their new console has been lost. Whereas PlayStation, I'm excited, but they've said so little that the hype train's not rolling yet, because all they've really said is, here's what it looks like, and we have Spider-Man day one. And I'm like, great, I'm pumped, but you gotta give me a little bit more. The PS4, I remember the PS4 reveal, and it was like, this is the next generation.
Right.
PS5 just kind of seems like, well, you already all knew it was happening. Here's what it looks like, and 4K.
No,
Well-
I'm with you. It does feel like, it feels very like, the deal. Let's just get this out of the way. Like,
Yeah, you already know what this is. Let's
Yeah.
let's get it over with.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
it's the like COVID stress reveal of the console generation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we got this thing. I know we're all trapped. Here's the fun like, oh,
I
it's very depressing.
this might be a minor hot take because I'm not sure how y'all feel about it, but just stemming off of this conversation of how we're talking about how differences between the past generations and stuff. I think what's really been the true killer, I think, for this next gen like hype train, and
Yeah.
I would almost argue it was the mid gen console upgrades.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
I almost because the mid gen console upgrades for both the Xbox One and the PS4 really focused on 4K, 1 terabyte of storage, like all the stuff that really is what has. It doesn't seem as big of an advancement anymore.
Yeah.
Going from the mid gen to this next gen, if that's making sense. I don't know. It might be a hot take because that I understand the need for a mid gen like update. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that
I'm with you.
to fix the problems of the base console and stuff. It makes sense, but also I think there was too much of a push in say the mid gen of like trying to make it innovative at the same time and a selling point that I think is also hurt this next gen's hype train because I have seen a lot of games take advantage of like game devs definitely taking advantage of the mid-gen consoles of like really upgrading their games like the
Yeah.
the push on graphics uh if we're talking about this current gen uh after the mid-gen consoles were released was a huge difference in graphics. A lot better quality games, I feel. That's just me. That might be just a hot topic and I'm just rambling
Hmm.
because I just don't know. But
I think I'm with you. Um,
I think my hot take is honestly, I mean, I still think I have a hot take on it too, but I think while you're on the right track there with the half gen ones, and I think had it just been the One S and the PS4 Slim, I wouldn't have agreed, but the X and the Pro really kind of
right.
threw me in the same boat with you there. I think with that, but I also think it's partially, and I think that from a consumer standpoint, obviously backwards compatibility is great, but from the idea of people just saying, "Oh, well, you'll have the new," I guess a good example is Cyberpunk. You'll have the or Avengers. Avengers is the best
yeah.
example. Buy the PS4 version now, and then when the PS5 comes out on day one, you can get the enhanced edition, which to me is kind of coded as saying, "Oh, it's just going to be the same game, but a higher frame rate and a higher resolution." And maybe some better textures.
Which, in fairness, is how these sort of cross-gen games have always been. Like that's always how it's happened.
I get that at least because it's always how it is at the start. Like we have PS3 to PS4, you had Call of Duty Ghosts on both generations, and it was just slightly better on the next. And as with any generation, it's not of consoles. It's not gonna really get really interesting until you get like maybe a year down the line, like Christmas 2021 is going to be really when we're starting to see the big guns.
Yeah.
I think it's part of it is that this is such a, and I think it's admirable of Microsoft to want to make the transition smooth and easier on people, especially during a pandemic, but to feel like they don't have to upgrade immediately, that they're going to still be able to play the same games with their friends, regardless of what generation they're on. You'll be able to play the games for the foreseeable future. And I think that's admirable of them. But I think the problem that has is it kind of cheapens the weight of a new generation.
Yeah.
Like crossplay is great, and I think that should still be there. But to an extent of saying, oh, okay, well, just buy this game now and it'll transfer over and everything's just going to be there, and just kind of making it this smooth, it barely feels like a new generation so much as it just kind of feeling. It's very much a double-edged sword of, do you want that smoothness and pro-consumer ideas, or do you want it to feel like a big next step?
Right.
I miss like that PS3 to PS4 where you had, okay, PS3 is going to have some cross-gen titles like your Call of Duties and your Battlefields and stuff like that. But then you also have a PS4 launched, or at least launch window. You had Killzone, you had Infamous Second Son, you had those big exclusive day one titles that showed off the console. Almost everything except for maybe Miles Morales has been cross-gen. And so there really hasn't been that big title to me that shows me this is only available on this console. This is the true next leap. And I don't think I'm going to get that probably, like I said, until about a year from now.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think the counter to that, and we should probably wrap up on this topic specifically soon. But I think the counter to that is the fact that consoles are starting to become less sort of technological advancements as they are sort of alternatives to PC. And and that was true during PS4 and Xbox One, and it's still, and I think it's becoming more and more true as time goes on, because like until we literally have like The Matrix as a video game, the fact is,
I thought it was like The Matrix until The Matrix actually happens.
Until The Matrix happens. No, once we finally have The Matrix, all of this will be a moot point. But
which might happen pretty soon with how 2020 is going. There's my 2 cents on the whole Xbox.
Yeah, that's a depressing thought. Maybe not unrealistic. But until that happens, PC and consoles are basically at a point where like consoles are always going to be a little bit behind, but they're going to have like exclusives and other games and whatnot, and then PC is going to be like the technical powerhouse, which is fine. That's I'm happy to live in that ecosystem, but there is a level to which it just means that the idea of a console generation falls by the wayside. So, good. You take the good with the bad. I'm excited to be in the middle of another console launch. I'm really interested to see how this shakes out, because you could pretty definitively say that Sony won this time around. That's 2 out of 8 or whatever, I don't know. And with Nintendo probably coming in a close second, just because they've been really successful. But you could even say that Xbox has done really well for themselves. It's easy to forget that Xbox, while having been number 2 in the sales department, has repeatedly sold very, very well. So like, congratulations to both consoles on a console generation well fought. But I'm excited for us to hit the reset button, because PS4 is in the 150 millions or something like that at this point, and it's like, okay, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, they sold a lot. Sony made a lot of money. Good job. Let's let's move on. So yeah, anything else?
Let's also move on.
Yes, let us also move on. All right. what do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about Mario or do you want to talk about Mulan?
I'd rather go Mario.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
that's
rather
just
take Mario. as
Happy 35th anniversary to the Super Mario Brothers series.
well.
You know,
Mamma mia.
Mamma Mia.
It's the me.
You
It's the
know,
me,
I
Mario.
think we have all been in contact with Mario in
Yep.
some way, shape, or
I
form.
called him last night.
You did.
Yeah.
How is he doing?
He's pretty old. He's
How's
suffering from back pain.
how's COVID affected his plumbing business? Do you know?
He's out on the streets. Let me just tell you. He actually
Uh,
called me. He wanted
Oh,
to
man.
share a couch. I'm just,
Man, he's not back to jumping on people's heads again.
no, he's not. I'm sorry. That was
Okay, that's good.
yeah, that was-
So you're dead.
Did he pitch
That's
another
good.
movie?
Oh no.
No.
We gotta talk about.
I think
you
his
don't wanna talk
agent
about-
already did that.
I brought it up to him and he hung up. He hung up. So
That's good. That's good.
my relationship with him is tarnished.
Anyways, no. He does, however, have one business that is not being affected by COVID-19, and that is all those darn video games.
The money he's making, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's probably living really well right now. He's
The plumbing business, his real passion for plumbing has not taken off, but video games, that's where the money's
Right.
rolling.
Oh, for sure.
This has gone on too long. Yeah, Mario's 35th anniversary. I don't know why I said 50th. Mario's 35th anniversary this year. Very exciting. We had no idea what Nintendo was going to do. Rumors of a 3D Mario collection were rampant. So I was like, yeah, it's probably going to happen, because if it doesn't happen, then that would be just Nintendo dropping the biggest ball they've ever held. Like, like it's the easiest
like
thing
the Wii
to
U.
put into the hoop, and
Oof.
they just drop it. So we finally got we got like a stealth direct, which is all they've been doing. I don't understand why they're not hyping these up more, because I feel like I keep like waking up to the fact that there was a direct and not and not like news of a direct that's happening in like 2 hours or something like that.
I think it's honestly because the August direct, like the beginning of August, was it, or is the end of July? One of the two. That direct was so poorly received.
Yeah,
That I think
it's
it might
true.
have affected that.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we shouldn't advertise and just drop it on them. That way they're not too.
Which, I'm okay
fair,
with that.
To be fair, we're big fans of the Kingdom Hearts series, but like that direct that was like a week before was just all rhythm games. So I can imagine.
Yeah, it was.
I can imagine, Nintendo fans, being real upset.
Yeah. Well, and it does, whether or not fans were upset is one thing. It does stand to mention though that like we had, 2 weeks ago, we had no idea
Yep.
what Nintendo was doing this holiday. Like there was just nothing. The landscape was barren. Like no exclusives, no games, just like a bunch of indies. And it's like that's fine, but what are we playing? And
Right.
and so there are a bunch of like weird Mario projects that they're doing for the 35th anniversary. There's a fun like AR Mario Kart thing that actually I was saying is a neat idea, but it has to work perfectly or it's a bad idea. Like so they have this like Mario game where there's like a real like in real life Mario Kart figure that's like an actual remote control vehicle, and like it connects to your Switch, and then like you build a track out of these pieces that then work on the Switch somehow. I don't know how it works. And then like you use the remote control Mario Kart to go around. And that's a neat idea.
Mm.
It's $100, so it's kind of expensive, but it's
Ooh.
a neat idea. But it has to work perfectly.
Right.
There's also like a Mario Battle Royale that's not actually a Battle Royale. It's like the Tetris Battle Royale. And then they're like releasing all of the 2D Mario games onto Nintendo Switch Online, which is kind of cool. What else is happening? I think that's it. 3D World is getting a port in May, which is cool. I think I might be in a minority of people who really liked 3D World. It's different from most other Mario games in terms of like usually Mario games don't really have levels so much as they have collectibles.
Mhm.
But I really liked 3D World, so I'm glad to see it coming back. And then the last thing is the 3D Mario collection is real.
Yep.
Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy 1, all in one package for a limited time, which is very frustrating, and I don't
Right.
understand why. It's a very Disney-esque move,
Yeah.
actually. But
I think they're trying to find out whether or not I know this is a bit of an obvious thing, but I think they're just trying to find out whether or not it's going to sell. I
yeah,
think it's going to sell, but maybe
yeah,
my nostalgia goggles are on, so like I can't see clearly. But the uh you know the I've played. I think I played the Mario 64, and then I definitely played the Sunshine.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time. It's the first console video
Galaxy's
game I
really
ever
good.
played in earnest. So I wasn't originally intending to get this, but then I know Nintendo, this is the exact thing they wanted when I say this, but knowing that it's limited and that Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time, I'm probably just gonna get it so that I know I have HD Mario Galaxy.
Exactly.
And I know that's exactly why they're doing this.
Yep.
But I
that's
just
that's the exact marketing.
but I'm gonna do it anyway because Mario Galaxy is just so important to me, and I
Yeah.
know I hate that I'm doing it because I know that's exactly what Nintendo wants. But the game is it's just too good for me to pass it up.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I have to
The
say
weird
though,
thing for me is
where
that
is Galaxy 2?
I don't
That's
know
the question.
why Galaxy 2 isn't a part of this. Like I understand it not getting its own release because it's so old at this point that like who would buy it on its own is like the question. And I don't
I
know
would.
if the I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would, but I'm not sure if there's like a market out there, like a whole market of people who are going to buy Galaxy 2. But they will buy a collection. And I don't know, yeah, I just don't know why Mario Galaxy 2 isn't a part of this collection. Like, I could have seen if like 3D World were a part of the collection, then Galaxy 2 being a part of it would have made sense. Or that Galaxy 2 not being in there would have made sense because it would have been a lot of games. And a lot of games to port. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. What was the other thing? I don't
Have
know.
they
I think I
confirmed?
lost something.
But
Go ahead.
have they confirmed whether or not? Because I was looking at it on Amazon because I'm probably about to pre-order it. Have they confirmed whether or not it's like are all three of the games going to be on one cartridge, or is it one of those typical Switch things where it's going to be just like Mario 64 on the cartridge and then you have to download the other two?
Prob. I don't know.
'Cause
I
the games are
I do
small
not.
enough, I can imagine they'd fit on a cartridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All of the games would fit on a CD. So like, I can't imagine they wouldn't fit on a cartridge. I think if it's getting a physical release, it has a cartridge.
Yeah.
Because I imagine it's more like the collections that are like their own game that have two games within them rather than like three different releases that you download all to your console. But I could be wrong. So yeah, but that's exciting. You know, I'm glad people are going to be able to like play these games. The Sunshine release is worrisome because I don't want to have to. I want to be able to use the Pro controller, and I don't think I'll be able to. But that's
For Galaxy or for
Yeah.
Sunshine?
Galaxy. Probably the biggest reason I would get this is like because I don't really want to play 64 because it looks so old, but I do want to play Sunshine at some point. So that would be the biggest reason I get it. Because I really like Galaxy, maybe not as much as other people do, but I really like it, so I'd be willing to play it again. But if like there's a purchasing decision behind it, I would probably get it for Galaxy or for Sunshine. All right, let's move on because we are running out of time here. Mulan released this past weekend, and we all have some things to say. Not about the movie because we didn't see it, but we do want to say no, don't purchase the premium access because not only is it overpriced, which is if you know if you for some people it might not be overpriced because there are a lot of like bigger families that it would cost like $40 to all go see a movie in the theater together.
Which is
But
what for sure Disney was thinking when they made that price.
yeah, like a lot of families were like, yeah, we have like 5 people in our household, and it's the same price as going to see it, and we get to see it earlier. So why
didn't
not?
want to make it cheap. They didn't want to make it too expensive for people who are like us, who are like, just teenagers who would see it, but they didn't want to make it too cheap.
Yeah.
It would be too expensive for too cheap. For
However, so it is a little overpriced, which is fine. Pricing is something that happens. However, you do not get to keep it after you cancel your Disney Plus subscription. I looked into this because I was curious, and I do not believe you do.
So let's say if can you pause your account on there? You can't, right?
I don't know.
Like you mean like don't pay for 1 month and then re-up another month?
Re-up, yeah. So like okay, so I guess that's what I mean. So if I were to like not want to pay for 1 month but decide I still want to keep the same account, if I were to log back in, I would lose all of it.
I think so.
I would think
Well,
so.
I was under the impression that like if I, for example, decided not to subscribe to Disney Plus for October, but then I did in November for Thanksgiving, that it would carry over from your account, but you wouldn't be able to access it unless you were actively paying month to month for that month of Disney Plus. At least is the way I understand it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. This is from Tom's Guide, so I don't know how credible this is, but
I usually have good advice, but they're usually pretty good.
Okay, so he says, or he, she, I don't know. says it's similar to how PlayStation Plus games work, where you only have access to quote unquote free titles, such as Fall Guys, for as long as you keep your PS Plus subscription. So that is, for one thing, so like I could see an argument for like a higher tier subscription where you get stuff sooner. That makes sense, right? I think
Yeah.
we can all agree. I think we can all agree that like
Yeah.
there's a way in which that sort of thing makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I do not get the desire for like paying $30 for one film that you do not get to keep.
Yeah, that to me, like I understand. Like if they were gonna put it straight to Disney Plus, I would have preferred they do it like what they did with Artemis Fowl, where it's just okay, we're putting it up on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If this $30 for what is essentially it's not really a rental, but it's not ownership either. And like it's different with the, to me, for those services that you like you mentioned like PS Plus, that's different because with the exception of multiplayer, for a lot of people they'll be paying for that to get these free games, but they know they got to keep paying for it. It's not like this service was designed specifically.
Right.
It's not like you're paying the however much it is a month to get the free game, like each free game a month. You're paying $30 for one movie on top of the subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
$30 for 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was basically wrapping up. I was just gonna be, if Disney had said like, oh, you pay $30 to unlock this, but since Disney also owns the Movies Anywhere like digital copy
Right.
service, I was hoping they would do is just say, okay, you'll pay $30 on Disney Plus, but if you link your Movies Anywhere account, you also get a free digital copy of it. Like
Right.
if they had did that, I would have been fine with it.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
And
Disney
it's
owns
like
both the ecosystems. It would transfer over easily. All you got to do is link an account. Fine.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious.
I can't imagine what the thought process was. And it's gonna, like, I was talking to my family like last weekend from and I don't know if this has been verified by any major news source, but supposedly Mulan's gonna drop as like the premiere access is going to be gone, and it's just going to be part of a regular subscription in December.
Right.
Yep.
So if you just wait till
Starting
after
December
Thanksgiving,
4th.
oh yeah, December 4th. You wait till December 4th, you'll have it as part of a regular subscription anyway. That's like 4 months, barely.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't even. It's ridiculous.
And I haven't seen the movie itself, so I don't want to be like the one to fully judge off of reviews, but from what I've heard from reviews, it's a huge disappointment of a film.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, from what it seems like is the stuff that they try to change, they didn't like go. They fell short on those changes, like meaning like almost as if they were kind of like afraid to keep pushing. It from what it sounds like, I haven't heard any, which is kind of disappointing because one of the things that I was really intrigued about this film more than any other Disney live action film was the idea that this one looked like this was going to be different. Like it was not going to be the same film.
Yeah.
And I was really intrigued by that. But like a lot of these films, and I think the only one that's perfectly like changed it up, making its own spin while still kind of honoring the original, was Cinderella. I still don't think there hasn't been a full-on Disney live action, because if we talk about Aladdin, there was a lot of great changes in Aladdin, I felt, but they still fell short. Like that they fell short in the fact that they didn't want to change it too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
and
they
then
played it too safe.
right, and for me, kind of getting back to that, getting back off of that tangent, the for me as somebody who wants to, who's intrigued by the movie itself, like I'm not going to lie, I was really excited for this film,
Yeah,
but
I always thought it looked pretty cool.
to hear that from the reviews, because I'm obviously typically I think you all know this. I don't look at reviews before I see a movie, and
Yeah.
even after I give my initial review, once I give my initial review, I look at other critical reception,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that with New Mutants. But I had to for this film just so I can know whether or not it's worth shelling out the $30 for.
Yeah, I did the same, Caleb. I did the same and I'm the same way. I don't usually don't watch reviews until after the film. Until after I see the film. But for this one, I made an exception because I just figured. Well, first of all, I didn't think, even if it was getting great reviews, I don't think I was gonna drop $30 on it.
Right.
I would probably just have waited for like the regular subscription access. So but I was just curious if it was getting great reviews or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting mixed reviews as far as what I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
The YouTube crowd seems to be trashing it.
Mhm.
I haven't watched any full reviews. I've just looked at video titles, but none of the video titles I've seen have been very good. So that's maybe a bad sign for any movie. I think is like, there tends to be kind of a divide between like the critics and then like the YouTube critics, I guess.
Right.
But when even the the establishment critics are like, I don't know about this movie. It tends to be like, I'm not sure. So yeah, it's a shame because like you said, Caleb, it seemed like it was going in a really great direction, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that like the whole release has been flawed. And, you got to chalk a little bit of it up to COVID, I'm sure. I think in another timeline, right now, we would be like, well, Disney just continues to rake in the money, like uh, there's, there's no doubt in my mind that Mulan would have made a lot of money, at least in China, especially after the controversy.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they pandered a little bit to the Chinese government in ways that maybe they shouldn't have. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that this this release is such a case study to me, and I'm interested to
Right.
see I'm interested to see the numbers, because Disney will release if they don't release numbers, it was a bad thing.
Right.
They do, then that means the numbers say something, and I'm interested what they say. But I don't. Yeah.
So I pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes score. Do we want to
Okay.
talk about it or no? Do you all know it?
Just tell me the scores.
So critic, it's 75%. Audience, it's 53.
So not
as bad as I
review
thought.
bombed.
Yeah.
Not review bombed, which is important.
Right.
And yeah, also not that great of a disparity. So reviewers didn't hate it and the audience didn't like it. Which makes sense. Doesn't seem like this was really for anybody. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of us are gonna see it. If we do, I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of a developing story in a way. Like we don't have all of the answers right now. Because if this was a success, I don't see Disney not doing this again. It's not like it's illegal. Might be unethical, but it's not illegal.
Mhm.
It's Disney in a nutshell.
That
Maybe
is-
unethical, but it's not illegal.
Yep, that's pretty much Disney. Yeah, yeah, interesting, an interesting moment in film history that again is a developing story. We've been talking about this for it feels like a while since they announced the premium access. So
Mhm.
I mean, I'm very interested to see what happens next. All right, so we are running out of time, so I think we have time for only one of our main topics tonight, and we'll push everything back to next week if that's all right. So
Yeah. I can push the Walking Dead thing to next week
yeah,
too.
Yeah, I'll push
Um,
Nightcrawler and the other thing.
yeah, cool. So you guys saw the New Mutants.
Yep.
I wanna preface this. I'm not gonna talk because I didn't see it. But I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't believe you because I don't think this movie actually came out. I think this is a conspiracy. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we
but-
actually went to go see Unhinged.
So it's funny. It even when because that was all of our first times back in the theaters. It just all felt like a really surreal type experience of like, um, you know, we we had been waiting on this film for so long, and like I couldn't like I really didn't believe that we were actually seeing this movie until it started. Like I refused to believe it. Like even when we even got into the trailers, like the moment the trailers got done, it was like, oh, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the Marvel logo.
I agree. I agree because, like, I mean, I don't know if it's the fact that we hadn't been in a movie theater for a long time,
Right.
or just the fact that New Mutants is finally coming out, or is finally out, and we're seeing it. I think somebody, I don't know if it was one of you, who joked and said like we'd sit down, they'd do play the trailers and everything, and then like they just have like New Mutants and then like coming 2021 or something, and then we just
Right.
Before the
leave.
power goes out or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, the power goes out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start. Okay, I'll start talking about my thoughts.
Okay.
Really quickly. I haven't seen Phoenix, and I haven't seen Dark Phoenix, and I haven't seen Apocalypse. But I really love Days of Future Past. That's the last X-Men movie I've seen.
Great movie.
Um,
Love that.
this film,
Yeah,
this
great
film, this film. There were some. Okay, so the horror elements of the film, there were some good moments. Some of the chemistry was okay, particularly the two female actors. I forget their name. Like so the main character, and then
Maisie
the
Williams, and then
Anya Taylor-Joy.
no,
Taylor-Joy. Yeah, the short hair person,
Oh, Maisie Williams,
Maisie
then.
Williams, and
Yeah.
then
and the main character.
the
Blue Hunt was the
Blue
Native
Hunt.
American.
Yeah,
Blue
I
Hunt,
wanted
yeah.
to say Blue
So-
was her last name, and I knew that wasn't right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I was gonna say their chemistry / relationship on screen was kind of the only thing that was working for me.
Yeah.
That I felt like kind of worked. The rest of the acting was, the dude who played the typical buff guy. Like, I don't know. It was just some of the acting didn't really work out. It was very kind of wooden. I felt. And some of the CGI was okay. I mean, it really got it wasn't even okay. It just looked like it was still not finished. I don't know. It looked like it should have just come out 2-3 years ago, whenever it was supposed to come out. I know you guys have things to say about that, but yeah, so I'm probably gonna say a little more, but that's really, I thought it was okay. It was it's something that's forgettable. I haven't really thought of it since. So those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think like
Okay.
for me, I enjoyed it. I think part of it was just getting to see a movie in the theater again.
Yeah.
Part of it was also like I hadn't seen a movie with I guess 2 out of the 3 of you guys in
Yeah.
quite a while.
We were joking about just FaceTiming Azra and just
Yeah.
putting him right next to this.
Putting on a stand and doing it there. And I thought it was fun. Like it's not trying to win any awards. I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was the best movie I'd ever seen ever either. It was just a fun time, and I enjoyed it. I'll definitely pick it up on Blu-ray. It's very predictable. I had pretty much every single major plot development picked out from the start.
Uh-huh.
I thought it I mean, are we doing spoilers?
Yeah, we're doing
Yeah, it's
Alright.
fine.
Yes.
The spoiler about like how they were like, oh, what are these creepy things popping up? How is this happening? And like from the beginning, I was like, it's her powers. It's her powers doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're like, wait a minute, it's her powers. And I'm like, I had that called from the first 5 minutes of the movie.
The first
That's
frame
funny.
of the film.
Yeah, and it was. I thought it was fun. I thought the connections it had, and this is the big thing that I was gonna say for you, Ezra. That was kind of like the twist. Is the ties it had to Logan were pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Like they kind of say that so it's the Essex Institute that is experimenting on these kids. At first, I was like, oh, is this going to be some kind of like Weapon X thing? But no, it ties into Deadpool 2 and Logan having the Essex.
Mhm.
I thought it was
That's
good.
neat.
It was kind of cool to see how it ties together. This is a movie that clearly was supposed to have come out around the time Logan came out,
Right.
just based on the fact that they actually used footage from the movie in New Mutants. But
Yup.
I think that's ultimately the thing that hurt this movie the most, was it being delayed so many times. If this had just come out when it was supposed to in like April of 2018, I think it would have been a much different story than what we're saying now.
It would have been fresh. It would have felt fresh.
It would have felt fresh. It would have been cool, and it would have, people would have been like, "Oh yeah, that was neat." It wouldn't have had this like myth surrounding it about it taking this long to come out.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I will say, so my review is, I liked it. I came out, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time, and I think that is partly because I came in with the knowledge of like how this production and post production nightmare that New Mutants had. You know,
Yeah.
I think I gave it a lot more of a benefit of a doubt than I would have with a normal film. But I will say, like, uh, I to go off of to go off of what Ahmad had said. Ahmad had he talked about the acting a little bit, and I felt the acting was good, and I felt like everyone was making the right choices, but some of the actors, not all of them, had uh, different accents from what they
Oh yeah, I
from
remember that. Yeah.
from what they actually have, and
The one that stood out. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the one that stood out to me was the blonde hair person.
yeah,
Oh, Anya
Anya
Taylor-Joy.
Joy.
She her Russian accent kind of stuck out.
Yeah, the accents weren't that great, and I felt that that's what was like hindering the acting a little bit. But they were hitting the marks. I felt right. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
the choices they were
I-
making were the right choices. It's just it just didn't sound right, and I think that kind of made things a little bit difficult.
No,
Um,
I understand that. Yeah, I think a lot of it was the screenplay. There were probably some issues with that, with the dialogue. Some dialogue you just can't make sound. You can't make it sound natural. But yeah.
I will say there is some editing errors, which is
Oh yeah, that's
interesting,
right.
but the uh, I ultimately, like the biggest takeaway that I had from this film, and it's the same takeaway that the target the test audience had when they had seen the New Mutants all those years ago, and what prompted the first delay was that I definitely wanted more horror. Like, I felt like they were just getting to that really, you know, they were really playing on the horror and superhero aspect, and I wanted a little bit more on that. And
Yeah, I wish.
I see why they went into wanted to do reshoots and made it more,
Mhm.
because obviously I bet you it was one of those. I think it was that case of like, you know, they went with more of a safe movie, a PG-13 type movie, and the studio was like, "No, you could go ahead. We like this. We want more," type thing. And
Yeah,
and
you know,
I think that's what happened, and that's what really prompted it. So I give this movie a little bit of a benefit of a doubt because of that, um, because I know that this is the original cut of the film.
yeah, I totally agree with what you just said. I just feel it feels like they were playing it safe with some of the horror. Um, Even some of the moments where it did seem pretty gory, like it was awesome.
Right.
Like the moment where the dog person like lands on like the doctor and like kind of rips her apart. Like that was kind of like I was just like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. But yeah,
Come on, love score.
I'm not a I'm not a one I don't I enjoy a good amount. I mean I'm not like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I don't watch Saw for the traps. I'm not like a fanatic. I'm not I don't want to make I don't want to make myself sound like that. But
Right.
when it's a movie like this, I kind of expect them to lean into that a little more and not play it as safe. And I understand it's a superhero movie, and ultimately they don't want to make it too don't go too crazy. But that's the thing. It seemed like they were trying something new, and I felt like they could have leaned into that a little more to make it even seem a little more fresh, because that's what we're going in expecting. I'm going in expecting some scares.
Right.
We get a lot of creepy stuff, and some kind of jump scares at the end, but that's not really. I don't know. It
Yeah.
didn't terrify me at any point. And that's just the truth, and that's fine, I guess, for what it is.
I will say I like the story and concept. Like, I really liked it.
Yeah, I like the whole lore with like the bear.
Mhm.
I thought that was I thought that was nice. Tied that together near the end.
It's definitely a
Hmm.
film that I feel like, you know, I know not a lot of people are going to like, but I'm definitely
Yeah,
like of the feeling that, like, yeah, I could watch this multiple times,
that's good.
and feel like I had a good time out of it, I liked it. I really liked it. It's not Dark Phoenix level of like, or heck, I almost rank it. I would almost rank it better than Apocalypse, and I liked Apocalypse a little
Huh.
bit, most of it.
Yeah.
There's some stuff about
Hmm.
Apocalypse that I think is like overstuffing, but like in a movie. But Apocalypse is a whole other tangent. Uh, but yeah, I think it's a fun little, like, I would compare New Mutants to something like Ant-Man. Like, it's fun. I liked it. I'll watch it a couple,
Good.
I'll watch it a couple times. It's nice within the universe type thing, but you know, it's not the greatest, but I liked it.
I think Kayla, you pretty much summed up my opinions there too. Is that it's not the greatest, but fun. I liked it, and I'd throw on the Blu-ray on like a Saturday afternoon a
Right.
couple times. Like it's not
Good.
it's just fun.
I'm glad it was like not a trash fire.
No.
Yeah.
And that I think is impressive.
There were some sequences that were pretty impressive. Particularly, I know where we all thought this was well done. A well done scene was the pool scene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was pretty. That was actually that was actually a scene that scared me. That's where I felt like
Yeah.
the way it was shot,
It
the
was
way
a
it was
good
acted.
misdirection right there.
Yeah, so that was actually where I feel like if they would have leaned into that kind of like like the just like the confusion and that kind of like dismay, I feel like if they leaned into that more and made it seem less obvious, because that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah.
Are we going to? Do we think if we were able to cover it in the next 13 minutes, I think we can cover a little bit of Tenet if we want to pivot to that real quick.
We can,
Briefly,
this is your guys' schedules, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to facilitate whatever.
Ahmad, if you think we can pull it off,
No, I think, I mean, like I said, the link is literally right here. So I mean, I'm not, I don't have to go to the union or anything. So I think we can pull
Okay.
it off very briefly.
All
no,
right.
no
Talk
spoilers.
about Tenet. No spoilers. I
right.
haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, whoever I can start, or Ahmad or Caleb, if you guys want to start, it's up to you.
Okay, I'll let you guys think about it a little more since I've
Yeah.
already seen it twice. So I kind of
Yeah,
my
you
thoughts
start.
are.
What?
Yeah,
I've seen it
he's
twice.
seen it twice.
it's listen.
Why
You're
are
gonna
you
wanna
going to
see-
the movie theater that much during a pandemic?
I listen. I know. I was safe. I made sure I had my I bathed in hand sanitizer beforehand. And I wore a hazmat suit. Okay. And
Good
the theater
lord.
was empty. We went. It was. It
Yeah.
was
Oh wow.
made sure it was safe. But yeah. So okay. So I lost what I was gonna say. Okay. So it's a complicated film. It's probably his most complicated venture
For sure.
yet. And that's the thing with Chris Nolan is he kind of always wants to kind of outdo himself, and he has done it this time, and I think maybe too much so, and I think he kind of made it a little more simple. And what I mean by simple is not to dumb it down. He has a really great idea. There's just a lot to take in, and he wants to explore a lot. And when we do the spoiler review, I want to kind of go more in depth as to what I mean by that. But I think that the action sequences were really well done. Some really tense action sequences. You could tell that he really made the film his original ideas, and he made the film with those action sequences, and like he wrote the script with those action sequences in mind. So it was really, those were really well done. John David Washington and Rob Pattinson, the cast are all great. Of course, they had the little Michael Caine cameo in there. They had to get that one, which I want to talk more about that.
Yeah,
but,
I want to talk about that too because I have some
but yeah.
opinions on that.
So really quickly, I don't think it's his best film. It's not better than Inception.
Yeah.
And
Or
I think
any of the other ones that are in the running.
Yes, so I think when we're talking about Chris Nolan films, this would be, I would place this in like the lower tier. But even the lower tier, Chris Nolan is still a great.
Right.
There's some great films down there. Some amazing films. So that's not really saying much when it comes to his filmography. But yeah, it's there's a lot to unpack here. But yeah, those are my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't put it above the Dark Knight trilogy, but I'm also biased towards Batman. I wouldn't put it above Inception or Interstellar, but I would put it above Prestige, Memento, Dunkirk, and a lot of those other films.
So you ended up watching Memento, did you?
I mean, I saw it a couple months ago. I haven't seen. It's what's the Insomnia is the only one of his I haven't seen. Yeah. Yeah, it's. I was not. I think I really enjoyed it. I think for Nolan, it's probably more towards the mid tier. But I think when we're talking Nolan, like you said, Ahmad, even the mid tier is still a really, really good film. I really enjoyed it. I think I saw it in IMAX. So I got the full experience of it. My really only complaint is I think. This is the same complaint I had with The Dark Knight Rises, and to an extent, Dunkirk, is his audio mixing is consistently an issue I had. Yeah. There was some important dialogue that, specifically during like more important scenes or scenes where the soundtrack is really or score is really high, that the dialogue track seemed to be at the bottom of the mix. So when like they'd be explaining something, and I'd have to be like, what? Like I couldn't fully make out the dialogue because between the ambiance track, special effects, like sound effects back
Uh-huh.
and the sound and the score, it was
Uh-huh.
drowning out. Especially the score was drowning out a
Yeah.
lot of the dialogue.
Yeah, I totally, and I want to confirm, even watching it a second time, some of those scenes, particularly the scene where they're on the water, on the boats, a lot of that still I did not get. A lot of this, it was even a second time watching it.
That, and then to tiptoe around spoilers here, in the opening there was some where I was just like, what? Like they just somebody would say something specifically that, but then like when it's quiet, it's all it'll make out. But then there's stuff during the ending, during the climax, that they'd be trying to explain, but I would just either they'd be talking too fast or it's drowned out by the score and I'd miss some important details. So really my only complaint is with the audio mix. Visually, I think it looks great. I think Nolan has some really neat ideas. There's specifically, of course, no spoilers. There's specifically an explosion at the end that I think was really neat, with the way they play it with time. I thought the way they did colors was also really interesting, as like a subtle way to kind of like I'll say, Ezra, when you see this, pay attention. This is no spoilers, but pay attention to red and blue. They have those two colors. I like the way they like tie those subtly into the story.
I want to talk spoilers really badly. But I just wanted to say Kenneth Branagh really nailed it. He nailed it.
Oh, he was great. You wouldn't even be able to tell that he is Irish and not Russian. He has such a great accent.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. High praise.
I think Pattinson was great. Really, the only actor who I thought at any point was a little weak was, I thought that and he was barely in it, but I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was a little weak when he was playing the one. I can't really say what his role was because I don't want to spoil it. But Aaron Taylor Johnson, his character was just a bit stereotypical to me, and I was just like, it's a character that you've seen in plenty of other movies, and I just kind of had to roll my eyes a little bit when he came on the screen.
Yeah.
It was still good. He was just like, his character was a character you've seen in 100 other movies before.
Okay.
But yeah, I still think it's
I've been
great.
there.
It's definitely going to be a Blu-ray I'll pick up. Worth seeing in IMAX. If I guess honestly, IMAX will be the safest way of seeing it because those theaters are so massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
All right.
I enjoyed it. Caleb, you have anything you want to say about it?
Yeah. So I think Ahmad's final sentence in his review was, "There's a lot to unpack here," and I feel that is like the heart of like how my review is of this film. Like, I've seen it once, and we've talked. Sawyer briefly touched about it on the audio mixing, had the same issues, and this movie, and this is not a take on the pacing, because I think it's paced fine, but there's a lot to unpack, and it's rapidly going quickly. Like there's a very fast pace in this in this movie, which is fine, and I loved it. I love the fast pace, but when you have like audio mixing problems and stuff, and like you're still trying to like really trying to grasp what's going on, that makes things a bit difficult. But I feel like this is a type of film that's not meant for you to fully grasp in the first time watching it. Like, this is going to take multiple viewings, I think, for all of us.
I got most of it.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you there. I was just saying I got most of it from my first viewing, but there was a couple, mostly due to the audio mix, honestly, a couple questions that I had that I was like, oh, wait a minute. I wasn't fully piecing it together.
And then when you're trying to piece that together, and then you're getting more dialogue thrown at you because of how fast paced it is, that's where it gets a little bit confusing. But I think this film's good, pretty good. I enjoyed my I enjoyed it. It was really good. In terms of how it ranks with the Nolan films, the truth is I don't know yet because I still have to. This one definitely is going to take some multiple viewings, because obviously I do think there is a huge rewatch value in this film. But as far as I definitely don't think it's as high tier as the Dark Knight trilogy or Inception and Interstellar, although there is some stuff that I liked about this film that I wish was kind of translated over into, say, like something like Inception, but that that's going a bit into the spoiler territory, so I will wait on that for the
Yeah.
next review. But I do like the film. I like it a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you
All
want me
right.
to? I can
Yeah,
quickly wrap
let's-
up here.
Yeah, let's just quick get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sure we can, if we have any other extra thoughts next week that we want to go into, we didn't get to today, I'm sure
Yes.
we can do that. You want to go ahead and rattle off social media?
Yes, do it.
You can find
Get outta here.
you can find us on Twitter at CASTCATE because of our old handle. That's CastKate. You can also find this just on there by searching for the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Lab Rats Podcast. So I would primarily focus on Twitter, where you'll get a link every time a new episode goes up. And you can find us at the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast on YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, because I think that's what they're calling it now, Spotify, and Twitch. And coming soon, I haven't heard anything back yet, but we'll probably be on some more platforms in the near future.
Awesome.
All
Sweet.
right. Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much for watching and listening, everybody. Hopefully we'll be back next week. If not, we'll keep trying. Look forward to some fun stuff we have planned in the future.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, with that, bye.
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 All right. See you guys. We have